Incoming message.
Okay, let's dive into this.
Welcome, everyone. Today, we've got a seriously fascinating explainer lined up for you. We're going to be decoding the July 10th, 2026 release from the Department of War's Pursue program. Now, if you follow the news, you know this is the fourth major release of Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, or UAP files. The internet is literally buzzing with headlines right now. But today, we're going to cut right through that viral noise and dig straight into a brilliant analysis that asks a totally different set of questions about what this data actually means.
Right off the bat, we're hit with the central paradox of our source article. Clarity is the weapon, not the answer. The author points out this massive, fascinating contradiction in the government's so-called transparency. You see, the Pentagon officially describes this fourth batch of files as having their clearest footage yet, but our source argues that as this UAP footage gets sharper, as the resolution improves and those blurry blobs become perfectly defined shapes, the actual answers somehow seem to get further and further away. The clarity isn't solving the puzzle, it's actually being used to reinforce it.
And that brings us to a really important question. Just think about this for a second. We've got 19 brand new high-definition videos just released by the Pentagon. If this footage is clearer than anything we've ever seen before, and yet officials still have absolutely no idea what these objects are, what does that actually mean? Well, it suggests that image quality was never the real problem to begin with. We can see them perfectly clearly now, we just still can't identify them.
Section 1. The Pursue Program Release, breaking down the July 10th, 2026 data.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is exactly what dropped on July 10th. We are looking at a staggering volume and variety of files that are now publicly sitting at war.gov/UFO. We're not just talking about one or two stray memos here. This tranche is massive. It includes 162 total files. You've got 40 official documents, 4 audio recordings, 3 high-resolution images, and the absolute crown jewel, 19 videos that officials themselves are calling the clearest to date. It is a highly coordinated data dump spanning across multiple types of media.
Section 2. A pattern of escalation, tracing the tranches.
To really understand the impact of this fourth tranche, the source argues we've got to step back and look at the broader pattern of intentional escalation. Just look at how this all unfolds over a few short months. It kicks off in May 2026 with Tranche 1, which is just historical text. Totally dry, no visuals at all. Then, late May brings Tranche 2, giving us radar returns and abstract sensor data. Super technical, kind of hard for the average person to grasp. But then, June hits, and Tranche 3 drops. We get grainy infrared footage, but it's compelling enough that it literally provoked a formal theological response from the Catholic Church. And finally, July 10th brings Tranche 4, perfect clarity, 19 high-def videos. The source points out that jumping from boring text to imagery that shook up major world religions, all the way to crystal clear HD, completely proves that image resolution was never actually the bottleneck in this disclosure process.
Which leads to one of the boldest ideas in the text. The author argues that this highly managed drip, drip, drip release schedule isn't actually about transparency at all. Instead, they define it as public conditioning. By normalizing slightly better evidence over time, drop by drop, the government is essentially teaching the public to accept unidentified, not as some temporary lack of data, but as a permanent, completely acceptable state of being for these objects.
Section 3. The 5-agency signal, a massive bureaucratic footprint.
And this brilliantly illustrates that the visual upgrade is really only half the story. Just look at the sheer scale of the bureaucracy involved here. 5 separate federal agencies contributed files to this single release. You've got the CIA handling foreign intelligence, the FBI on domestic intelligence, NASA's weighing in on space and atmospheric science, the Department of Energy, the folks who oversee nuclear materials and advanced propulsion, they're involved, and of course, the Pentagon for military and defense. Look, getting 5 government agencies to agree on lunch is tough enough, but a phenomenon requiring coordinated attention from all of them, that is completely unprecedented.
So it naturally forces us to ask, why on earth is a single phenomenon crossing every single jurisdiction the U.S. government tracks? The source points out that whatever these things are, they're operating simultaneously across air, space, domestic borders, foreign territories, and near-nuclear facilities. They are literally triggering sensors across the entire bureaucratic spectrum.
Section 4. Defining the other, the process of elimination.
Let's move to and see how this builds. If we know these objects are everywhere, how exactly is the government categorizing them? Well, they use a pretty profound process of elimination with 5 official buckets. Step 1. Is it airborne clutter like a stray weather balloon? No, these objects show intelligent flight. Step 2.
Is it a natural atmospheric phenomenon? No, they totally exceed known weather behaviors. Step 3. Is it highly classified U.S. technology? No, because multiple agencies are investigating it together. Step 4. Is it foreign technology? No, the CIA's foreign intelligence confirms it doesn't match any known adversary. Which leaves us exclusively with Step 5, the other category.
Now notice that an overwhelming 85% of the files in this fourth batch fall almost entirely into this other classification. By systematically crossing off those first 4 categories, the government has essentially boxed itself into a corner.
And the article makes a very pointed conclusion about this. Other is not just some convenient placeholder for, hey, we need more data. It is a formal, documented classification for objects that match literally no known category of technology on Earth. And that right there is the absolute crux of the clarity paradox. The gorgeous, high-definition footage in Tranche 4 didn't solve the mystery. It only served to eliminate every single terrestrial explanation we had left.
Section 5. The ultimate question. Rethinking the unknown.
So the crucial point is this major contrast. Historically, we've always treated the word unidentified as a temporary label, right? Like it's a gap in our data that we're going to eventually fill once our cameras get better. But the source argues the government has completely flipped the script on us. Unidentified is now being used as a permanent category. It's no longer a lack of data, it's an actual, finalized description of origin.
The text pushes this idea to its logical extreme with this incredibly powerful line. By eliminating all earthly categories and maintaining the unidentified label despite having perfect visual clarity, we are effectively describing something that doesn't come from here. That is the new reality the source argues we're being slowly conditioned to accept. Those 19 videos are sitting out there right now on war.gov/UFO. 5 major agencies are involved. We are talking about the clearest footage in human history. And yet, the official classification remains other. Clear enough to see and still can't identify. I highly encourage you to go look at the files yourself and ask yourself, what does that actually tell you?
Come to me, chickens! Cock-a-doodle-doo!